Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Your team is moving faster than ever. Productivity is high, deadlines are met, but revenue just isn't growing. Why? I sat down with Matt Watson, a 5-time founder and CEO of Full Scale, to find out. The real issue isn't talent. It's that the people doing the work have no say in the decisions that matter. You've traded true ownership for just staying busy. In this episode, Matt reveals the 5 disconnects holding your company back. Listen now on the Follow the Brand podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Follow Brand Podcast. This is Grant McGaugh coming from the Midwest in Omaha, Nebraska, and I get to talk to one of my other fellow Midwestern people in the Kansas City area. A lot of people don't realize, Omaha, Kansas City, they don't know the distance. It's just like, me coming from Florida, Miami, and Orlando. It's about the same distance, about a 2.5, 3-hour drive. That's really it. So yes, I am a Kansas City fan. I do like the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm a little bummed out right now about what happened to Mahomes, but they will bounce back, and they will bounce back with a lot more vigor than a lot of people will realize. But we're going to have a candid conversation today because I don't think a lot of companies realize some of these things that we're going to talk about, because most companies, they don't fail because they lack talent. I think they fail because the closest people to the work are the furthest from the decision. And if you don't make those decisions right, you can have some problems. So today's conversation is about patterns, about repeating itself across startups, scale-ups, or even large enterprises, teams that are busy, they're well-staffed, they might be shipping constantly, but they're still missing the mark because we've normalized speed in our tech stack. We've optimized for output. And in the process, I think many leaders have quietly traded ownership for activity. And I think today's guest, we're going to be talking to Matt Watson. And Matt is a 5-time founder, former CTO, and current CEO of Full Scale, where he's built and scaled engineering teams across multiple high-growth companies and successful exits. And he's also the author of Product Driven, which is a book written for leaders who are tired of managing tickets and want teams to think like owners. I think that's very, very important to understand. So I'd like to welcome Matt to the Follow Brand Podcast. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. You know, I'm just a guy looking for something to do, for problems to solve, man. That's been my entire life. I'm just, give me a hard problem and a challenge and I'll go solve it.
Well, let's start out with the thing we just talked about, which I liked about you. And we're talking about business and the personal brand. Understanding the market. You told me just moments ago that a owner or a CEO's first mission is to market themselves. Talk to me more about that.
Well, one of the best videos I ever saw on TikTok, and I tell people this all the time, I think it's my best advice for other entrepreneurs, is you don't want to be the best at what you do. You want to be the best known for what you do. Nobody knows the best plumber that lives in their town, but they know the one that runs the most ads, that has the trucks driving down their street, right? Nobody knows the best at anything, but they know the best known, right? Life and business is all about, the exposure of your hard work and the marketing. Even if you're just, an employee at a company, if your manager doesn't know you're doing a great job, it doesn't matter either, right? It's all about the exposure of your hard work and your expertise, right? At every kind of level of life, I feel like.
Well, you have built out, and I got to toot your horn just a little bit because I went to your LinkedIn page and said, wow, this guy has 75,000 people that find him interesting. I'm like, why? Why do these 75,000 people find Matt so interesting? He's doing engineering work where for some people might find that, very boring, coding and things like that and building digital systems. How were you able to build your brand to that level?
Well, so at Full Scale, we do software engineering for other people. And, anybody who's listening to this that does kind of software development or product development, you probably get spammed from people every single day from India and other places around the world trying to sell software development services, right? So for us, it's like, well, how do we reach other people? How do we get people to know that my company exists and build a relationship with them and build trust with them, right? And social media is a way to do that. So LinkedIn is a great way to reach our potential audience, be a thought leader, and build that kind of relationship and trust with people we don't know, which works way better than cold calling or cold email, right? Like spamming people doesn't work. And so, we really doubled down and invested very heavily in LinkedIn over the last 3 years. So 3 years ago, I had 15,000 followers. And today I have 73,000 followers on LinkedIn. And we can talk more about like how I do it and what I do and stuff if you want. But yeah, just put a huge focus on LinkedIn and it drives millions of dollars in revenue for us every year in new business. So
I want people to really double down on what you just said. That first of all, you took a space in a saturated market, right?
yeah, we have lots of competitors.
Exactly. I mean, they're out there, especially India and other locations. You need software engineering. Like you can go, around the corner and get somebody that says I can do some coding. You said, look, I gotta get out in front of this, and I've got to be able to demonstrate value from my platform because LinkedIn is a platform, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to tell your story. You got to have your unique point of view. What makes you different from all these other people? You already know, like, yeah, you could go get probably some basic code from someone else, but you've got to be different in what you do. Like in your book, I think it's called Product Driven. You describe
Right.
five foundational like disconnections, like when you walk into an office or an organization, or what really shows up and what's will land. Because when I think of digital engineering, even software engineering, you're really emulating the physical world, so to speak, right? And you just do it in a different way. How does your book help to differentiate you in your market?
Well, writing the book started over a year ago from our own employees and the struggles that we have with our own employees. So I have 300 something employees, and it's like for our software engineers, which ones do a great job and which ones don't do such a great job? And what is the difference? And how do I train the ones that aren't doing such a great job to be more like the ones that are, right? And for me, that came down to product thinking. It's the ones that speak up, they take ownership of their work, they have an opinion, they care. They're not just taking orders. They think and act more like leaders and owners, right? And through the process of the writing the book, it helped me a lot with self-reflection around how to do that, how to change from a leadership perspective to build a team that thinks that way. And so I think it was the biggest value of writing the book was just my own self-reflection. It's like, this is the way I work, but how do I communicate to other people the way that I think and I work, and building a model that they could follow. And I, on accident, basically created the product-driven model, which you mentioned, which was five important pieces for engineering leaders to follow. But the book is about software engineering leadership, but it really applies to anybody that kind of works in startups or tech. But the foundational pieces to it apply to any kind of leadership. But the book is built from that point of view of software engineering leadership, kind of tech leadership.
I think what you stated there, and I want our audience to really think about this, is one of the biggest problems, especially when you're an owner, you're running a company, and you're running it through other people, is the ownership piece. Do your key people take ownership of what their responsibility is? So if you're the director of operations, do you feel like you're just working in operations, or do you feel like you own operations? And then you could speak to me as if you are a business owner and I'm a business owner, right? And that we can have that business to business discussion and not employer to employee type discussion. I think those are two different communication styles, right? You get somebody that's owning what they're doing and they can give direct feedback back to you, Matt, right? You got 300 people. Wouldn't it be great if somebody said, Matt, take a look at this. This is a fundamental flaw in what we're doing and how we're engineering this piece. And I want to bring it to your attention because I think we can 10x this, let's just say, and drive more revenue. Would you like to have that discussion?
Yeah, let's go.
But how do you get people to think like that? That's the thing. Take ownership. Don't just because I have a certain title, let's say, or I do own the business, but I'm employing you so that you take ownership of your particular sector, what you're doing. You're the expert in this world. I am not the expert in that world. So I want to defer to you, listen to what you have to say that'll potentially enrich all of us in the long run.
So the challenge is not everybody's going to do this, right? There are a certain amount of people that, let's be honest, are kind of lazy. They want to do the minimum amount of work. They want to be told what to do, right? And we all have some of those employees, but we also have employees that want to lead. They want to take ownership, right? And we definitely want to foster those people to do so. And the problem specifically with software engineering is very expensive and slow. And what has happened over the last 25 years is we took this mentality of trying to protect them from everybody else, right? Like literally put them in the basement, turn off the lights, nobody talk to the engineering team, right? We hired all these project managers, product managers, QA, DevOps people, all these different people to basically do different parts of the work and protect them. And it honestly turned it into an assembly line. Software engineering turned into an assembly line. And the engineers were literally in the dark, in the basement, and don't understand what they're building, why they're building it. They're completely disconnected from the user, the customer. They lose all sense of kind of purpose and why they're doing the work, right? And to what you're describing about ownership, like nobody's going to take ownership of their work if they can't see the value of it. Like, why am I doing this work? Why does this work matter? Can I see the fruit of my labor? Can somebody be excited about the work that I did and make me excited about it, make me care about it, give me a purpose, right? And so that's a big part of the book is like from a leadership perspective, that's a leadership problem. If your team doesn't understand who the customer is, why they're doing the work, seeing the outcome and the value of their work, that's a leadership problem. We have to start from a leadership perspective to solve that.
What you said, we got to, take a pause and listen to that. That's that disconnection. I've seen that myself so many times. You have silos of working departments. And because there's not a collective of understanding what it is that we're doing together to make this a better mousetrap, so to speak. And then some of those teams, they don't feel like they can even speak up because they don't know what they're talking about, right? You don't understand the end game that that we're trying to get to. I had to learn this myself. Like, when you start looking at hiring, you probably understand this because you got 300 people. People understand the job function that you have. So let's just say someone is paying you, and I'll just use a real round number. Let's say it's $100,000. I'm going to pay you $100,000 to perform this particular job function, right? You say, oh, that's great. But do you understand that that what I'm paying you actually brings to the bottom line $300,000, right? It's a 3-to-1 ratio typically, right? In order to bring on an employee role. So when you understand, like, hey, you're a very expensive part of this whole thing that we're doing. I value you and what you bring to the table. I'm not just losing $100,000 if you walk out the door. I'm losing $300,000. So no,
Yeah.
we don't want that to happen. But if I'm not communicating that value to you, things happen. And then if you're measuring the wrong things, they think, well, we shipped 800,000, or we did this very quickly, but did it move the true needle, or
Did
how
anybody care?
yeah, he
Did
said,
anybody care?
did it? It has to show up somewhere, right? So in your world, and people are starting to look at this right now, especially we'll talk about AI, right? The big elephant in the room, everyone's talking about artificial intelligence. The goal is that it makes you more efficient. It should make everybody more efficient, and it should bring you instant communication and intelligence into your job function and make you more productive. That's the goal. However, and I know you know this because you're in engineering, just because you can do things maybe a little faster doesn't mean that you did it right. Like I said, you can drive a car 160 miles an hour, but that's not cool if you're going through stop signs, right? So, so you've got it's about applied science and applied knowledge and applied skill sets and what it is that you're making things happen. So my question in your world, how are you managing the AI bubble in software engineering for what you're doing?
So AI is having a major impact across a lot of different things, right? Like before we started recording today, I'm literally sitting here using AI to help write some code to improve how I do LinkedIn stuff. And I'm using Claude Code, and I'm not really writing the code. I'm telling Claude Code to help me do this stuff, right? I am a software engineer, but Claude Code is a tool designed to help software engineers. There are a lot of different studies. Some studies will say that it saves software engineers 4 hours a week. Some will say it improves their productivity by 30%. The different statistics that you see are kind of all over the board. But here's the reality. The speed at which companies innovate has never been limited by how fast they can write code. How fast you write code has never been the problem. So giving companies tools that help them write code faster doesn't necessarily directly help them innovate any faster. The biggest problem with most companies is just all the organizational friction and bureaucracy and bullcrap that goes on that prevents them from getting a single thing accomplished. Right? So, I mean, if you give somebody a Ferrari and tell them they can go as fast as possible, but you put all these limiters in place, they aren't going to go any faster, right? Like that is the reality at almost every large company. Is all this organizational friction is the problem. And honestly, that's why like my book and what I'm trying to preach from an engineering leadership perspective is the key. If you want your teams to go this much faster, you got to give them ownership and get out of the way. Right? Like that's the only way we're going to go faster. And we could have did that without AI. We didn't even need AI for that. We just need to hire smart people, trust them, lead them, guide them, and get out of their way. But nobody does that. Right? Like nobody does it.
That 5-letter word, trust.
Yeah.
So many times, especially with owners that, they've grown their baby to a certain degree, and they won't let the baby just kind of go off on its own to a certain, to do their thing. Like
Yeah.
you do this department, let's say, of engineers, right? And you know that they can produce good work. But then, as you stated, you put all these limiters on them, like, hey, just let them code if that's what they're doing, or let them develop this whole entire product line, right, on their own, and come back to me and show me again, and not just talk to me in engineering speak. I think that's another problem, and that's another discussion in engineering world. Because I was a tech guy, I understand it. You're talking bits and bytes. You need to be talking in dollars and cents. Like, all right, I hear what you're saying, but how does that translate to finance and business? Because the
Yeah.
language of business is finance. Okay, what are you saying? Does that move the bottom line? Remember, I said earlier, if your job function is 100,000, and I know that it costs me 300,000 even to keep that 100,000, how do you make it $1 million? That I love that discussion, right? So if you start thinking the right way, giving the right problem to solve. Here's our problem. We are, let's say, we're a $5 million operation. I want to be a 15 million, a $30 million operation. I want everyone to benefit from that. If that's the goal, and you've communicated that goal, so your goal is not just to make code. Your goal really is to help us get to that next plateau of revenue and growth and capital, and whatever that may be. So if I get you to start thinking that you are a business owner and not just a technical component of the team, I think you start to have better output. Now, before you answer that, I think this is one of my pet peeves have been for 2025. I am not happy with our educational system. I really am not. Meaning, when I was going through high school and that kind of thing, and I remember a lot of things that I learned, I said, you know what? I am on a monopoly board. When I get out of school and I ring and said I graduated high school and whatever, you didn't tell me, hey, Grant, you're on a monopoly board. I have to play Monopoly. I need to understand the game that I am playing. You need to acquire assets. You need to get a car. You need to get a home. You need to get a business. Because if you don't, as we say, if all you do is teach me to pass go and collect $200 as the game goes on, that $200 gets less and less in value. That is a losing effort. It don't
Yeah.
work like that. So getting back to your point of teaching leadership, not just at your level, and communicating that leadership all the way down to the product line, whoever is in your business. So all 300 of your employees understand the game that we're playing, and we want to play to win.
Well, you mentioned earlier, part of the big struggle is talking to engineers. A lot of engineers talk in the bits and the bytes, right? But as leaders, our job is to make sure they understand three things that are really, really critical. And this is part of my model in the book: vision, focus, and clarity. And so when I say vision, I don't mean some stupid HR vision statement that's on the wall somewhere. I mean, why are we doing this thing this week? Like, why does this matter? What is the vision behind this thing this week? Like, we need to know. Everybody needs to understand, what is the vision of what we're trying to accomplish today, right? And then it's focus. Why are we doing this thing and not that thing? Why are we doing this thing? Like, everybody needs to understand, what are the trade-offs that we're making? We decided to do this and not that for these reasons. We decided to do it this way and not that way for these reasons, right? As leaders, everybody's got to know, because otherwise they sit around, they're like, why are we doing this stupid thing? We should do this. We should do it this way. Like, I don't understand. My boss is an idiot. But if you tell them all this stuff, they get it. And they're like, they got, and give them some ownership. And that's another part of the model, ownership in the work, right? Ultimately, that makes a big difference. But the third one there is clarity. That, especially for software engineering, it's so easy to get stuck all day long. Like, I figured out how to do this part, but now I got questions. I'm not sure what to do next, right? I'm not sure if they want it this way or that way or whatever. I need to go talk to so-and-so. And so as leaders, we have to constantly be driving all of this: vision, focus, and clarity, right? So that they understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, how to do it, how not to do it, all this kind of stuff. Because if not, they just get stuck at every turn, because software engineering is not an assembly line. It's a highly creative type of work, right? These are not people that are, stamping out business cards all day long. They're doing highly complicated, creative engineering tasks. And from the engineer's perspective, the ones that only speak in bits and bytes are also the software engineers that are not going to make it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other reality, because as a leader, if I have to go to a software engineer and tell them in some absolute detail about how something's supposed to work, I could basically just tell AI to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality, right? Software engineers have to think more like product people. They've got to ask questions. They've got to take ownership of their work. They've got to solve the business problems. They got to understand the business problems, right? Software engineers have got to up their game. But the problem with all this is the culture in most of these companies. The engineers aren't allowed to do that.
Uh-huh.
The engineers are order takers, and that's really what my book is about. Is all of this problem. And, so at Full Scale, this is the problem we're trying to solve. It's like, how do we train our people to think at this higher level, to go from being software engineers, programmers, coders that are going to be replaced by AI? Like, they've got to elevate themselves to be product engineers and think at a higher level. Because
What you're
the
saying,
industry is
Matt,
changing.
I think is the big elephant in the room for our planet right now, because it's causing all of us to up our game. We've got to get to that next level. If your job is all about just data and your job is all about information, that can be done by an AI type application. But when it comes to context, like you just said, what are we doing it for? The wisdom and experience behind it, the applied knowledge. I love that's why I was like physics. I always go back to high school because I wasn't great at it, but it taught me how to think. It wasn't like you had the one thing I really liked about physics that there was never what you would call a right answer, meaning it wasn't about the answer you got. It was about how you got there and you can show your work. That means you had to show your creative thinking and
But
your
most people can't do that, and they don't like doing it.
no, because we program them not to do that, right? Let me do that for you. I just need you to do this little bit over here. But that is not really, as you said earlier, that's not the play anymore. You've got to take it to that next level. Even if you're a tech guy, you need to understand more about operations. You need to understand more about finance. You need to understand more
Yeah.
about the business and the market in order to be valuable in what you're trying
Yeah.
to accomplish.
So I saw something one day. I don't remember exactly what it was or what it was about, but it was talking about little kids when they're like 5 or 6 years old are pretty fearless. They're very creative. They will try lots of things. They embrace all of the things that we really need as adults, right? But somehow, as they grow up, they sort of take less risk. That sort of that some of that creativity gets lost. They become a little more order takers, follow the rules. And we need more of that spirit of the younger kids, right? That are willing to just try things and be super creative and build weird things with Legos, right? Like they'll go do all that kind of stuff. And somehow or another in an education system, a lot of that gets lost. And the problem with AI is going to force all of us to be much more creative, have more of an opinion, and take more risk, right? Like I can ask AI to write me a LinkedIn post, but is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Isn't it do I want to post it? Right. That requires all of my own creativity.
Sure.
Um, and and the biggest problem for a lot of people is for AI and a lot of kind of business leadership, you've got to know what good looks like.
Mhm.
Be it you're leading a sales team, a marketing team, any kind of team. As a leader, if you don't know what good looks like, it's really hard to lead those teams. And same thing with AI. Like I get output from AI, but is it good? Is it good
Yeah.
output or not? Like you got to know what good looks like. You know what I mean?
True. You still got to drive the car. I'm gonna go back to what you said. I want the audience to really dig into that because if you're a young child, I've got a young grandchild. She's like 4 years old now. If you really observe a young child, what they're really, really good at is imagination.
Yeah.
They are excellent at imagination, and their creativity is off the charts. But what we start doing is we start teaching them like, oh, I want you to know your ABCs. I want you to know your one, two, threes. You start getting them into the analytical mode and you're shutting off their creative mode. And
Yeah.
then that's the problem. So now your imaginative self starts to lose that freedom and that love of life. And you start really getting into the almost the bits and the bytes. I can do one, two, three, I can do ABC. Like, no, I want you to see an entire bird and how it flies. So, but I'm starting to realize that, and I want to make sure I nurture the imagination as much as I can before I start, layering in some of the analytical stuff. I think that will make a difference. If you really notice some of these, we call these whiz kid schools that they have for young adults, they lead with that, the creative side of things, the
Yeah.
artistic side of things, and they understand that yes, computational and analytical work is very important, but at a certain point in time, we still need to get that creativity going. Otherwise, you start getting into built-in status quo. I need somebody that can think outside the box.
Well, there's another side to that though, because like I have somebody I work with now who's highly creative, but I also can't get them to follow any directions. They're not coachable. It's like they've got ADHD so bad they can't focus on anything. Everything's a great idea. They got a new idea every day. I tell them, no, we don't want to do that. We want to do this, but I can't get them to stay focused. And the problem I have with them is like they're not coachable.
Mm,
Like they have all these ideas and they're very creative, but I can't get them to focus that energy where we need it. And there's no coach. They're completely uncoachable. And so that's the problem. It's like we want all the creativity, but at some point in time, we also need employees to do what we want them to do.
yeah, you gotta have
Right.
a balance. That's that. You have to bring both of those sides of your brain, left brain, right brain,
Yeah.
but it has to be a harmony with it, and it has to be some accountability, responsibility. It's not
Yeah.
all playtime and imaginary work, right? But you bring it all together so that you're a fully functional and you're
Adult.
operating adult, right? But you're operating at a higher level. That you can see things that you normally would not be able to see. That's the thing that I think that AI is bringing to the table right now. It's like, oh, I did not really see that correlation or
Yeah.
some of the things that were causation. If you start bringing all the variables to bear, and then you could see a different path forward. Again, I think your different path forward came in like, look, if I'm going to enter into software engineering space and become a player in this market, I've got to differentiate. I've got to then do something different from where my competitors are doing. But it's got to be relevant. Can't be too outside the box, but got to be just enough to make people believe in what I'm doing. And then, of course, you have to then be able to produce that outcome.
So something else to go along with what you just mentioned there about people being creative and coachable and all this stuff. Part of this only comes with experience and some age, because you have to have enough experience from all this stuff to build up being very pragmatic, right? Because you're young, everything sounds like a great idea. You're very creative. I should do this thing. I could chase all the things, but it only comes with some wisdom that you become more pragmatic. You're like, well, that sounds great, but I actually know how, to take that idea and do something with it, right? You know what I mean? Like there's a certain amount of pragmatic part of it too, that only comes with a lot of wisdom.
You got to work with everybody. That's why you have to have a team. Somebody's been down that road, and you can see things more. It's a realism that takes place, and at the same time, you've got to be able to see creativity. Because if you already know the outcome, that's where go back to physics, right? Applied knowledge. You pretty much know if the variables are the same. If the variables are the same, this is a pretty guaranteed result. If
Yeah.
variables are the same. If the variables are not the same and we don't really exactly know what the result is going to be, and then we have to use probabilistic or predictive, like, well, perhaps this might occur. But then you get back, see, this is the thing with business. Everything you do with business has a financial risk attributed to that. This is what you see where businesses either grow or fail when they try to get to that next level on the run. I want to go from 6 figures to 7 figures. Well, you got to take a calculated risk around that, but it has to be agreed upon and accountable. We're seeing right now companies that were in retail tell me they didn't get upset when Amazon and things like that came on the scene and like, look, you can do this through a digital marketplace and did it a lot faster. People don't have to drive. When I first came out, people still like to drive. They like the human component. They like seeing somebody. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes, but not all the time. Obviously not. Right. So we can't take everything for granted. Just because something was the way it was before doesn't mean it's going to be that way tomorrow. But going back to what you're saying, And I'm going to leave us with this. This is my last question I want to ask of you, because I think it's important. Here's the question. What piece of popular advice about leadership and ownership that leaders, and this is the crux, that leaders love to hear. They love to hear this, but that actually makes things worse when applied in the real world. And I want you to think about that friction that you talked about in business.
Well, I think it comes back to ownership, right? And as leaders, it's really difficult to give up ownership and delegate to other people, right? Like so many of us sort of find our place being the bottleneck or the hero of everything. And the only way to really to scale a business is to learn to delegate and trust other people. And I know lots of people, a friend right now, she's got a company with like 70, 80 employees, great business, but she will not hire people, trust them, delegate, get out of the way. And it ultimately comes down to hiring the right people. Now, you mentioned like maybe what advice is bad advice. And that's not advice that's bad advice. I think that is some of the most critical advice. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Matt, you've given us, I think, some really good information that we can really sit back and think about these things. I think ultimately our world is changing, and the skill set required to do job work and to run a business and scale a business is changing. And we have to apply some more grit to the situation and do some more due diligence and find out, because now we've got information at our fingertips. But can we ask the right questions? Can we ask the right questions to get better results? And then can we take ownership? Because I still think, like you said, that cooler talk around the business itself, and that question of why are we doing this way? And if it's not fully vetted, it's not fully acknowledged, and there's not buy-in from the entire the organization, the message gets lost and the value goes down the tube, and then you find yourself, whoa, I've got to make changes, because again, money is like water, it starts to drain out. Now how do you get that back in, right?
It's all about ownership. You gotta build own scale. So, and I think it's also, as a leader, it's focusing on what you do best, right? And then hiring other people to trust and delegate the other stuff too. It's like we talked earlier about my LinkedIn stuff. I do all of it myself. I've played with having social media people help me, and it's never worked out really good. Never has the same results as me. So it's like you gotta focus on what really matters to your business, right? And so if LinkedIn really matters to our business, I can't outsource that to somebody else. So
like that. You got to know what you own, what you do best, and you're the expert at. And true, no one knows exactly how you think
where
about
you provide the most value.
Exactly. I love that. Where you provide the most value. We're at the end of our conversation. Now, I have to ask you this question, because you're a fellow podcaster. You're also a lover of LinkedIn. You've been now through this experience on the Follow Brand podcast with Grant McGaugh. How'd you feel about this?
I think it's been great, man. I love being on podcasts. I love talking to other people. Love sharing knowledge,
I like that. And what I'm going to do? I'm going to be checking you out on LinkedIn as well, because I think I'll learn a great deal. I think our entire audience can learn a great deal. Let us know exactly how they can contact you, specifically also if they want some software engineering services.
Yeah, so you can follow me on LinkedIn. Just look for Matt Watson. You can also go to productdriven.com and learn more about my book and podcast and newsletter and stuff like that. At Full Scale, if anybody's looking to hire affordable software engineering talent, that's what we do out of the Philippines. We have over 300 employees in the Philippines doing software engineering for 80 different companies. So check us out, fullscale.io.
I love it. I love it. And I want to encourage your entire audience to check out all the podcast episodes on Follow Brand. They can do so at 5. That's star, STAR, BDM. That's B for brand, D for development, infomasters.com. I want to thank you again, and to a prosperous 2026 for you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
I love the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
Really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
The difference between influence and legacy, it's the platform that carries your voice. You're not visible because you lack talent. You're visible because your brand doesn't speak. I've built 5-star BD&M to change that. Most leaders have the expertise, but not the presence, the vision, but not the vehicle. Across 3 cities, one brand is helping leaders rise above the noise. Here in the heart of Omaha, strategy isn't left to chance. It's engineered with precision. In Omaha, we engineered your Zachner brand, AI-powered, data-driven, precise. TISA went from a local nonprofit to a national speaker in 90 days. We don't guess your brand strategy, we build it. On the shores of St. Croix, your brand takes on depth and meaning, shaped through curated retreats and legacy experiences. In St. Croix, strategy becomes soul. Our retreats don't just refine your message, they rediscover your mission. One founder rewrote his entire company story here. Funding followed 30 days later. This is where leaders remember who they were meant to be. In vibrant Miami, momentum meets amplification, transforming your voice into a movement. In Miami, your brand becomes a movement. Business development accelerators, audience building. Joy came with an old website and an outdated company name, but she left with 5,000 followers and a waiting list. This is where you scale with soul. 3 cities, 1 mission. Your legacy ignited. It started with a thread. Let's pull it together. Stop blending and start leading. 5-star BDM, where legacy is engineered, embodied, and ignited. Visit 5starbdm.com and book your brand audit today.
The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course can help you stand out and attract the right connections and opportunities. We will help you professionally create your profile, provide personalized recommendations for improvement, and help you create and share engaging content to help you showcase your skills and expertise. Our 5-step course makes connecting with industry experts, finding job opportunities, and building meaningful relationships easy. Social selling can be an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Our course will help you solve the problems associated with digital networking. If you need help personalizing your outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. If you need help targeting the right prospects, this course is for you. With so much noise on social media, it can be challenging to cut through the clutter and get your message in front of the right people. Our course will personalize your messaging using our targeting tools and research. You can identify and reach the right prospects. We will also show how to deliver high quality, valuable content that attracts and engages prospects and clients. The 5-star BDM LinkedIn social selling course will address these challenges by implementing best practices. As a result, you can improve your social selling efforts and generate better results. Are you looking to improve your LinkedIn profile and reach a wider audience? Social selling is an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but
it does have its challenges. Some common problems we saw with social selling include lack of visibility. If your profile is not optimized or you're not actively participating in groups or sharing content, it can be difficult to get noticed on LinkedIn. Number 2, lack of personalization. Some businesses struggle with personalizing their outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. Also, difficulty targeting the right prospects. It can be difficult to identify and target the right prospects on social media, especially if you don't have access to robust targeting tools. And number 4, outdated content. If your LinkedIn profile or content is not up to date, it can give the impression that you're not actively engaged on the platform or that your skills and experience are not current. And lastly, poor quality content and not leveraging video and picture to convey ideas. To solve these problems, the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling Video course will help you focus on personalizing your outreach and messaging to better connect with prospects. In module number 1, the foundation, we will help you create high quality, valuable profile that will attract and engage. In module 2, the story, optimizing your LinkedIn profile to make sure it is complete, accurate, and visually appealing. In module number 3, the experience, using your targeting tools and research to identify and reach out to the right prospects. In module number 4, engagement, establishing a consistent follow-up process to nurture leads and build relationships over time. And lastly, in number 5, execution. Understand the metrics to help you measure your brand effectiveness. By addressing these challenges and implementing best practices, you will improve your social selling with the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling course. Listen to what others have said about 5-star BDM.
Grant, I'll tell you why I'm here, right? I'm here because I love your brand. When we started chatting on LinkedIn, we connected. I checked you out and I go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about.
You were definitely instrumental in helping to shape that knowledge of who I am. Because at first I thought, well, I am an actress. I am a writer. I am a producer. I am a speaker. And so I said, well, I must be a creative communicator. I know that there is a narrative thread here, but you nailed it when you said you are a storyteller. So you brought it all together in this cohesive title.
Sign up today to improve your social selling opportunities.
I get pitched all the time. Investment banking firms, software as a service companies, consultants, they're always polished, professional, and prepared. They walk me through their pitch. I nod. I understand the offer. But then, I forget them. Why? Because there's no emotional connection, no story, just information, dressed up in better formatting. But then, someone walks in and tells me a story. Maybe it's about a problem they solved, a customer who transformed, or the moment everything changed. That story sticks with me. It's not just about what they offer, but how they make me feel. That's the difference. This week on Follow the Brand, I'm sitting down with David J. Ebner, founder of Content Workshop. Together, we're unpacking the difference between story-first and content-first leadership. We dive into emotional connection, why asking who does this help changes everything, and how to build real authority in a crowded marketplace. If you're building a brand, scaling a business, or trying to stand out in a commoditized market, this conversation is for you. Storytelling isn't just a tool, it's your edge. New episodes every week on Follow the Brand. Join us, and let's build something unforgettable together. How many times have you heard the word artificial intelligence in the last month? Now ask yourself a better question. How many times has artificial intelligence actually put money in your pocket? Artificial intelligence is everywhere, but revenue is not. Here is a truth most small businesses do not want to admit. Your next customer could be calling right now, and nobody is answering. It is not because your team does not care. It is because your system is broken. Missed calls mean missed revenue, and every unanswered call is a lost opportunity. In this episode of Follow the Brand, Grant sits down with the leaders of We Level to explore how agentic artificial intelligence is changing the game for small businesses. Not with more hype, but with speed to lead and real implementation. Imagine systems that answer, qualify, schedule, and follow up with customers, even when you are off the clock. This is not about replacing your brand, it is about protecting it. The businesses that win in the artificial intelligence era will not be the ones with the most tools. They will be the ones that know how to connect artificial intelligence to revenue. Watch the latest episode of Follow the Brand. Your business called, nobody answered. What if you could unlock the power of your personal brand, no matter where you are in your journey? That's the heart of Follow the Brand, a podcast where host Grant McGaugh reveals that everyone, yes, everyone, has a brand worth sharing. Whether you're a Fortune 500 CEO, an entrepreneur in transition, or just starting to explore your purpose, this show is your invitation to discover what makes you unique. Each episode features intimate conversations with remarkable guests. You'll hear from branding legends like David Auker, Fortune 100 executives, quantum physicists, space mission launchers, and AI innovators. Grant dives deep into their stories, uncovering the purpose and authenticity that drive them forward. But this isn't just about learning from the best. It's about finding the universal patterns that connect us all. Through the BRAVE framework, brand identity, resilience, authenticity, vision, and execution, you'll see how a healthcare executive draws inspiration from an endurance racer's grit, or how an entrepreneur learns strategy from a CIO's tech journey. With over 225 episodes and 50,000 downloads, Grant brings 3 decades of business expertise and wisdom to every conversation. If you're ready to build your executive presence, navigate a career change, embrace new technologies, or simply tell your story more powerfully, Follow the Brand is your guide. Your brand and your purpose are already within you. Let's bring them to light. Most people are not behind on artificial intelligence because they lack access. They are behind because they do not have a system. You might think it is about the latest tool or the newest app, but the real gap is in how you work. You have tried ChatGPT. Maybe you got something impressive, or maybe it was a little off. Either way, you probably went right back to doing things the old way. That is not a tool problem. That is a workflow problem. The challenge is not about having artificial intelligence at your fingertips. It is about making it part of your daily operations. That is why Ikaba created the AI Accelerator Group series. These are structured sessions, hands-on labs, and real work on the table. The goal is simple. Artificial intelligence should become part of how you operate, not just something you experiment with on the side. My segment is called Your Brand, Your Voice, Your GPT. We build a brand GPT trained on your voice, your standards, and your real-world use cases. This means your content, your client messages, and your strategy outputs stop sounding generic and start sounding like you consistently. In the lab, we build it with you, step by step, so you leave with a system that works for your business, not just another tool. If you are ready to stop stacking tools and start building real systems, join the next cohort. Want to see what this looks like before you commit? Come to the free Bring Your Work preview. Bring one real deliverable, and we will work it live. Comment preview, and I will send you the registration link.
You've done a lot of podcasts. You have your own podcast. Now you've gone through the Follow the Brand podcast with myself, Grant McGaugh. How did you feel about this interview?
Went exceptionally well. And I thank you for the opportunity, Grant, to be able to speak about me, because one of the things about my own podcast is that I reflect a lot on stories and situations and examples of things that I've experienced, but seldom is it a platform and an opportunity for me to really share my story.
You've been on a lot of podcasts. You have your own podcast. Now you've had the experience of being with me on
to sell my image or sell my services or sell my I could be myself. I had a great experience with you, and
I'm just so happy with you. But I gotta ask you this, because I've asked my guests this always in real time. I like to have it in real time. How did you like your appearance on the Follow the Brand podcast?
It was like I was just conversing with a good friend of me, sharing my heart out. It was no, and you've just touched the right chords. So that's where, I was able to bring out so many things and share everything so honestly from the bottom of my heart. So it was not like a formal podcast where you are like, hey, Grant, yes, Grant. It was not like that. It was no real question session. This was pure fun.
Now I only got one more question to ask you. Probably my most important question today is, now this is your first interview on the Follow Brand podcast with me. How did you feel?
Oh, it feels great. Like I'm with you, Grant. First of all, Grant, you yourself, let me give you your flowers. You've been such a tremendous leader in our community, whether it's in the field of healthcare, leadership, IT. You are a tremendous leader.
Are we building a workforce strategy, or are we just buying a tool? This is the question that sits at the heart of every conversation about artificial intelligence today. For many organizations, the focus has been on the technology itself, but the real challenge is much deeper. It is not about the latest software or the most powerful algorithm. It is about leadership. Most organizations are asking the wrong question about artificial intelligence, not because they lack intelligence or vision, but because nobody told them the question had changed. Grant McGaugh, CEO and founder of 5-Star BDM, puts it simply, the conversation has shifted. Artificial intelligence is no longer just about machines that create things. As Michael Fawcett, founder and CEO of Arian Research, explains, we moved from machines that create things to machines that do things. That is a completely different kind of thought process. Every enterprise pilot that has ever failed did not fail because of the technology. It failed because of people. The real obstacles are not technical limitations, but human ones. Leadership, communication, and vision are what determine whether artificial intelligence initiatives succeed or stall. The technology is ready. The question is whether leaders are prepared to guide their teams through the change. As Michael Fawcett points out, it's more of a change management issue than anything. If you say we're building a hybrid workforce and nobody's losing their job, you'd have much better adoption. The real work is not in the code, but in the culture. Change management, not computing power, is what drives successful adoption of agentic artificial intelligence. Agentic artificial intelligence is not a technology investment. It is a workforce strategy. There is a difference. The difference is everything. Organizations that understand this distinction will be the ones that thrive. Those that do not will struggle, no matter how advanced their tools may be. Michael Fawcett has advised Fortune 500 companies through this exact transition. With 35 years in the engine room of enterprise technology, his insights will change how you think about what you are actually building. Listen to the full conversation on the Follow the Brand podcast. Agentic AI is not a technology problem. It's a leadership problem. Available now on all platforms and at 5starbdm.com.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues.
I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming.
Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.firestarbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.